Of the night are starting to slowly make their way home on a damp, wet Djuma game reserve. This is Safari Live. To our sunrise safari, as you can see, we're having a spotty start to our day with two of our resident clan making their way down the road. Now, my name is Tristan, and on camera today I've got Senzo, and we are coming to you live from the Sabi Sands, like I say, and that means that you can get hold of us on hashtag Safari Live on Twitter or on the YouTube chat if you want to ask questions. Now, the squirrels alerted us to our two hyena friends that are making their way across quarantine clearings, and they are very unhappy that these two hyenas are around. And it's interesting because we had some rain last night. I have no idea how much, but enough to wet the earth. You can see it is a little damp out here this morning, a few clouds, a bit of thunder around. Not that I think we're going to get any more rain. I think it's now starting to break apart above us. You can see a bit of light starting to come through, so I think the clouds are starting to shift off, but it is at least a start, and I'm sure that we're going to see a massive rejuvenation even with this little bit of rain. If we get some heat, we're going to start to see a few green shoots on the trees. I would imagine the bush willows are going to start getting a little leaf on it, and then you're going to find that the insects are certainly going to come back quickly. So it's exciting times to have a bit of rain, and at least it stopped in time for our game drive, because I was a bit worried that we were going to have a wet start to the day, but at least that has stopped and all is good. Now I'm going to follow these two hyenas because we've had very little hyena time over the last few weeks. We've had so much of the cats that it would be nice just to spend a little bit of time with our hyena family, and I think they're going to go back towards the den, so I might as well follow them and see where they go. I'm not sure exactly which one is which at the moment. I don't think it's definitely not Gwen, and I don't know if the front one is Ribbon, but I'm not 100% sure. I know a lot of you are hyena experts, and you will be able to tell us exactly which hyenas these are. So remember, hashtag Safari Live on Twitter for those of you that do know and can help and share with us all the knowledge that you have about the hyena identifying features. It's always nice when you guys help out because, well, we don't see the hyenas enough to really get a grip on it. I try and keep, photos of them on my phone and try and kind of match them up while we're out here, but it takes a while to get used to exactly who is who, and like I say, we don't actually spend that much time with them, and so it's difficult to recognize them all the time. Gwen is fairly easy, and Ribbon I sometimes can get right, but we'll see now exactly who is who and who we have, because I'm going to try and get towards the front of them and walk with them. But while I do that, there is Miss McCurdy, who sounds like they survived a massive storm of their own, and she wants to say good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome, of course, to Safari Live. My name is Tayla, and on camera with me today is Batman, aka Craig. He's got a new name, Cutthroat Craig. You don't even want to know where the conversations went with that one, but that's Craig's new name now. So we have found some lions, which are walking in the bushes. You won't be able to see them. Now, as you would have seen from all the videos and Brent yesterday driving around, it poured with rain, which unfortunately is not too pleasant. Now, it didn't stop raining. We had lots of rain throughout the night as well as this morning again. So I'm going to make the decision not to do any off-roading today because firstly, A, I'm either going to get stuck and I'm going to have no one to pull me out, and then B, we're also going to start creating lots of unnecessary rivets within the grass, and we don't want to do that. We don't want to take away the grazing from the animals. But what I am going to show you is I'm going to show you the beautiful hot air balloon. Hi, hot air balloons, look how lovely you are with the crepuscular rays. Sorry, I've parked on a little bit of a dip, but they're so stunning, especially the one on the far left. That's my favorite balloon so far. Isn't that beautiful? Now, because this is live and interactive, you are more than welcome to chat to myself and Tristan and Jamie today by hashtagging Safari Live, as well as talking to us on the YouTube chat, and I look forward to all of your questions. I would very much like to be in that hot air balloon right now. What do you think, Craig? Yeah, it would be pretty good, hey? Yeah, I think that would be absolutely magical to be up there. There's not a breath of wind, it's still. Also, it is fresh. It feels like the land has been rejuvenated, and the smell of petrichor is definitely still in the air. Right, but we're going to see if we can find these lionesses, and hopefully they keep walking towards us and onto a road. I'm going to send you back across to Tristan with the animal that likes to laugh.
Yes, they do like to laugh, and, well, nice to see them, really. Hopefully they will give us a giggle. We heard them calling a little bit earlier from camp, and that's why I kind of headed in this general direction, just to see if maybe there was something around that they were busy with. It doesn't look like they've fed on anything, so I don't think they've come from a carcass. There would be a lot rounder, there would be blood on their face. If they've come from a carcass, I think they've just had a sort of territorial patrol around and checking what's going on. But really cool to see them walking through this dry grass of Djuma, particularly with thunder rolling in the background. It creates a lot of atmosphere with these guys, and I really like hyenas, and I think there's something about them that is highly, highly interesting. So it really is nice to watch them kind of rolling past us and see the way that they walk and how they kind of skulk around looking for various things. Now I'm going to try keep up with them. I'm off-roading a little bit for them, which is a bit naughty, but at the end of the day I want to see where they go. I think they're going to head towards the den, but I'm not 100% certain. So also we know the den has been a little on the quiet side, so just in case they maybe go somewhere else, and there could be potentially another den for the alphas, or the not alphas but the sort of matriarchs is what we should say of the clan. That means that it would be nice to follow these guys and see. Maybe, you never know, we have another den somewhere that is worth checking out. So none of them look like they're actually producing milk out of these two, so it's probably not the case, but worth just checking and worth following and seeing. You never know, sometimes they lead you to interesting places. I've followed hyenas before and they've led me to lions and leopards and carcasses and den sites, so it's always a worthwhile endeavor to follow our hyenas. Now there should be one popping out fairly shortly. There's one further sort of west of me, and then the one closest to us. There we go. Now I feel like I should know this one with that semicircle on its right flank, or circular structure, and those 3 dots. Should be a fairly easy hyena to recognize, so I'm pretty sure, like I said, we'll get some idea of who they are fairly quickly. It's a bit of a sniffing around. Don't you love how they walk as well, with those tall front and those short back legs? And I absolutely love hyenas' gait and the way that they kind of go about things. Now interestingly, they're not going up Gallagher's shortcut, which means they're not heading to the den. They're not going to go in that direction by the looks of things. It seems as though they're going to start heading up Vuyatela access. Now, I remember yesterday that there was a buffalo herd and they were apparently coming a little bit south, and the lions were around, so who knows, maybe these two are going to go that way. I mean, that's a big call to make, but you never know. They are heading in that direction. Noses are down as well. Crystal, you say one of these individuals is the male known as Sucker. Well, there's definitely one male. I'm not sure about the other one, but I would imagine that the other one might, if it's not a male, must be a fairly young female, because both of them are about equal size. So I would imagine that they both are males. But isn't it beautiful watching them kind of walking on the rolling sort of access that it comes into Vuyatela? We've got these little sort of bumps that go on, and it's really quite cool to watch them kind of making their way up the hill as they do it. So I always like watching hyenas on the road. They seem as though they're always up to something, and you feel like there's an excitement in the air when you're following them like this and they're on roads. Noses are down, sniffing. It's almost like they've picked up something that we can't see. And I'm checking for tracks here of something else, but I can't see anything else. Maybe they're following the scent of the females. Who knows? Sometimes the males will try and kind of pick up on that, and they might pick on a female that's in heat and follow it, but it's definitely noses are to the ground this morning, and they're sniffing around and picking up the scent of something. And I'm looking for tracks, but with the rain that we had last night, tracks are going to be a little bit harder to see, unless they were made after the rain. Going to be a bit sort of washed out and a bit tough to have a look at. So I'm just going to try and see if the hyenas can sniff things out for us instead of us actually tracking them, which will be quite cool. Ooh, ANNAMARIE, that's an interesting one. You want to know who can run for a longer period, hyena or wild dogs? ANNAMARIE, I would say hyenas. Wild dogs run faster, but hyenas will run for longer, in my experience. I've seen hyenas just go all day long and run and run and run and run and run, and their body structure is designed for that. The dogs are not designed to be running constantly or loping constantly. They're designed to be able to move quite fast and have stamina, but for short sort of periods of time. You'll find the dogs will chase things, but they do stop fairly quickly, whereas I've seen hyenas run non-stop for 15-20 minutes, just keep on trotting and keep on sort of bouncing up and down as they run, and with their typical rocking motion that they have. So I would say hyenas would be able to run much longer than the wild dogs. The dogs, while they are fit and do chase animals for a fairly long period in comparison to the cats, also don't move as far, and definitely I don't think will run as long as what the hyenas will. But it's interesting the way that they're heading. They're heading straight towards where we had the lions yesterday, so worth following and just seeing where they go. Soraya, you're asking if there's a hunting advantage with their hunched over gait. Well, Soraya, with their gait, what happens is because of the longer front legs, they rock like this as they run. Now, studies have shown that rocking motion is a far more energy efficient motion than the straight backed animals when they're running, and so it means that they can run for longer. Now, when they hunt, it means that they can chase animals like impalas or kudu or bushbuck or nyala that are straight backed, and they can chase them for much longer periods of time, and that animal then fatigues and they can grab it. So that's why they are incredibly ruthless when they're hunting. It's amazing to watch, and they will run animals down and literally just with sheer kind of stamina be able to exhaust that predator until they can catch up with it, and then from there it's this game of biting and carrying on. But that hunched over back and those taller front legs just help with stamina and being able to keep up with them. But we can see that they're slowly mobile, slowly moving up the road. Chitty Chatty Meg's mom, you're wondering how I know how to find hyenas? Well, it's a bit of potluck, to be honest. If you hear them calling, you try and just kind of find some sort of sign of them in that area and try to find tracks. Tracking hyenas is almost impossible. If you see how far we've traveled already this morning, they moved much quicker than a lot of the other predators, and following their tracks is tough. You can, I suppose, track them if they're really fresh, but I would say that the best way is locating by sound or knowing where their den sites are, and then going to the den sites in the mornings when the sun's starting to come up, because that will help with being able to actually find them. So it's the easiest way, and how we generally do it is den sites, or just by bumping into them on the road or hearing them close by and then trying to look on those roads that are in that area and then seeing them there. So that's how I generally do it. Now, I believe the other guys are following or trying to find tracks for the two mating leopards that were seen on the dam cam early last night. I believe they crossed past the dam cam at around 7 o'clock, which is interesting because we definitely had tracks for a male and female leopard crossing south. Rexon, myself and Aubrey all saw those tracks, and we followed them from that mating pair. So what must have happened is that mating pair must have come back during the day and made their way northwards, is the only thing I can think of, because like I say, all three of us saw those tracks and we followed them from where we had them the night before. So they most definitely went south of Treehouse Dam and towards Gowrie Main and into Little Gowrie, but maybe they turned quite quickly. Now you can see the difference in the antelope species when hyenas walk as opposed to lion or leopard. There's a kudu to my right hand side who has not made a single alarm call. It has not barked, it has not made any sound whatsoever, whereas if you would have had a leopard or lions walking here, that kudu would have been panicked, it would have been alarm calling. You can see it's wary, but it's not alarm calling, so it knows hyenas are not too much of a threat, especially just two like this. Maybe if you found that there was 7 or 8 or 9 hyenas, you'd find a very different situation with this kudu, that it would be a lot more nervous, would bark maybe and start running off. But just 2 hyenas on a patrol down the road, that kudu's not too worried. It's just keeping its head down and making sure that it doesn't make too much noise and attract attention to itself. The squirrels, on the other hand, they're not so keen. Now it looks like we may be in for a shower fairly shortly. If you all look where those hyenas are heading, there's an ominous grey sheet that is right there, so that potentially might be rain, and whoopsie, we might have to head back and get our rain covers because we didn't put them on because it was starting to clear. But hang on a second, here's a track for a lioness. So our lioness with cubs was here last night, and that's what they're following. I'm sure this is the lioness coming back to get her cubs and go and suckle them, because she was milling around here and then it looks like she cuts up towards where the cubs are. So I'm going to try and see if we come back to that. I just want to follow these guys and see if they maybe go to the rest of the pride, but the lioness comes this way and she goes towards where the den site is, and I just want to let Rex and Aubrey know. Aubrey, come in. Morning, Orbs. There's tracks for one female lion going towards Gallagher's shortcut from where Tayla access. I don't know if you picked up on them. I'm sure she's heading back towards where those cubs are. So just let Aubrey know, because I know he's in that area. Okay, they've turned a little bit further south, so I'll have to go and follow up on those just now. And we'll try and see if we can find them. The nice thing about those tracks is that they looked like they were on top of the rain, so it means that they're very, very fresh, and so hopefully we will find them. The problem is, like I say, we're about to get quite wet because of this rain that is in front of us. So what I want to ideally do is try and turn and try and just get a little bit of a different access and different sort of way around the storm. It's not very wide, it's literally just straight in front of me. On either side of that is nice and clear. Like the sky is breaking apart, but this must be the rain that came past us just now. So you can see just a little bit ominous where the hyenas are heading, and of course the hyenas are heading in that way. They're never scared of anything. The bigger the storm, the better in their world, and they're just marching their way that way. But isn't this cool, following hyenas? How long has it been since we've followed two hyenas and not been at a den? Been a long time, and I really love it. They're such interesting animals, and I know they're going somewhere. They're on a mission. They're not stopping and just kind of ambling and then looking to lie down. There's some purpose in what they're doing, and I wonder if these guys don't know something we don't, and they've already picked up the scent of something or worked it out that there is some sort of animal that's died somewhere and they're now heading towards that area. So I want to keep following them for that reason. I know the lioness tracks are really cool, and I'm pretty sure it's the female going to the cubs down around Mvubu Road, and if we went in that direction maybe we'll get lucky, and I'll go and check there. But I'm pretty sure these two know what's going on, and so we'll follow them for now, and then I'll go back to where I had the cubs last time and check if that lioness is not lying with the cubs there. But at the end of the day, if she is there, she's going to be suckling them. It's going to be fairly stationary. We're not going to have to worry too much about finding her. Also, I also don't want to stress her too much, and so we'll let her kind of get towards the den site, and we're going to follow these guys and see if they lead us to the rest of the pride. Who knows, maybe the rest of the pride is on a kill, so it's worth just following. It's, like I say, a big kind of but it's worth trying and worth seeing if we can maybe get some sort of luck out of following hyenas. It has happened for me before. I have been able to do it, so it would be really cool if they did. It's almost like honey guides leading you to honey. It's just hyenas to other predators and carcasses. Sydney, you say you're a first-time viewer. Welcome to Safari Live, Sydney, and welcome to the biggest safari vehicle in the world. And you want to know, is this actually live and that you quite like the show? Well, I'm glad that you're enjoying it so far. It is 100% live. We are in South Africa right now talking to you, and we are interactive. So you can keep asking any questions you have, Sydney, or if you want to know something about the hyenas, you're welcome to ask, and we'll try and address as many as we can. Now, what's happening is our hyenas are just turning off all of a sudden. Something has caught their scent, and they've now just kind of moving towards the right. So it's not something's caught their scent, they've caught the scent of something. There we go, I'll get it all right. The words were there, but they were in the wrong order, which happens from time to time. And they've now turned north into the bush, and they're going towards Aubrey's Road. So I'm just going to quickly jump around onto Aubrey's Road and get to them. But it looked like that male was scent marking. I don't know if you saw, but he was kind of scraping his back legs, and it looked like he urinated there. So males will defecate and urinate in the same places, same as what the females will, especially if it's one of the higher ranking males. They're going to establish themselves as the higher ranking male within the grouping. Did I see a leopard track? I did. Now, who are you? Because this leopard track, I wonder if this is not our little Shongololo. So just here on my right hand side is a small track. It's really washed out by the rain. It's Senzo, I would say, if you come down towards the stick, there it is right there. So you can see there is a little paw print right there, which is a leopard, a small leopard that has walked here. So I wonder if this is not little Shongile's track. This would be the right area for her to be in, but it is very washed out. So I would imagine, if anything, it was yesterday morning maybe. I don't think it's even from last night. It's completely kind of sort of winded and washed, and so it's had wind and rain on it, which means it's not going to be a very easy track to follow. Also, branches on top, even in the soft sand, it would kind of show up a lot better. There's also a sunrise, which is fantastic news. So it means that I'm not going to get rained on for too much longer. There's a bit of a sun poking through the big dark grey clouds, which is nice, because hopefully that sun will kind of, as we say, burn off these clouds. And it looks like this system is moving north of us now, so it's starting to push northwards, and that means that hopefully we will steer clear. But I know that's a big thought, but I'm pretty sure, just given the size of these tracks, it can't really be anybody else. These are small tracks. Chila would have had tracks that were slightly larger than that. Shadow, maybe Shadow, I suppose, could have tracks that size, but it looks to me maybe like little Shongile was walking around here. Difficult to say, but I'll come and have a look and see if I can find something that's a little fresher when we've done with these hyenas. Oh, so many tracks to follow. Hyenas to follow, lioness tracks, small leopard tracks. I'm torn now where to go. I really want to catch up with Shongile, just from a point of view that I just want to see how she's doing. I don't really want to see too much of her if she's just hiding out, and don't want to cause any stress for her, but I would really just like to see her in terms of just see that she's doing okay, making sure that she's in a good place and that she's able to find what she needs and be able to survive, and that she's not in any way injured. That's all it is. And once we've had that, a bit of peace of mind, it will help. Now our hyenas are on the road still, going straight north on Aubrey's road, so we're heading up towards the Buffelshoek boundary. See scent marking again. There we go, tails up, bit of urinating, so it's quite far in the distance. You might not have seen it, but they are definitely scent marking as they go. So wonder if maybe they're not on the trail of another hyena, that they're just trying to check who's in their area and push them out. But there was a little bit of anal pasting, and for those of you who don't know what anal pasting is with hyenas, is that they have a little gland that sits just underneath their bum basically, and it secretes a paste, and that paste they go up onto a piece of grass, and they just wipe their backside on there, and that little paste then sticks on the grass, and any hyena that comes past will pick up that scent and know, okay, this is this hyena, it's a male, it's a female. And the thing about it is it's got two sections to it. One is a sort of creamy color, and the other one's a little darker, and one will be a short-term scent that is sent out, and the other one is slightly longer and lasts for a few weeks. So it's an interesting thing that they've got kind of two components to their scent marking. It's not like leopards that have urine, or lions that just have urine. They'll use both. Now I believe I'm supposed to link away, but I'm not sure to who, so we'll see exactly who it is. There we go, Lou, I've got you back. So I believe we haven't linked just yet, because they were just hoping to get my comms, because they weren't sure if I was on comms. Now I believe Tayla McCurdy, who's in the Mara Reserve, and I would love to know how flooded it is and whether or not the tracks are still as muddy as last night, has got some bush chickens that she would like to show all of you.
This is ridiculous. Again, I was presenting. I will just repeat exactly what I said. Right, everyone have a little listen to this. So those are all the helmeted guinea fowls sitting in amongst the trees. Now when we first arrived, there were two different groups, and they were very agitated by something. Their heads were pricked up, obviously making this alarm call. So I don't know if maybe a serval or something had scurried through the grass and frightened them, but I can't seem to see anything, and they look like they're settling down now. But they were very, very unhappy at one point. Maybe there was a snake moving through the grass. It could have been a number of different things. Maybe even a raptor, for the fact that they're all huddled under a small shrub. Maybe a crowned eagle or a buzzard of some sort tried to get to them. But we're not going to sit here for too much longer. We're actually going to keep driving. And the reason for this is because I'm sacrificing myself for all of you today. That's why I've got my hood on. I have been attacked attacked like you have, the worst I've ever been attacked by any insect in my entire life, by these midges that have obviously all come out now after the rain, and every time you sit still it's a disaster because they just sit on you and they creep down your shirt and they bite you, and my whole shoulder's actually got tiny little welts on it now, so I may need to devour some antihistamines because I'm feeling very uncomfortable at the moment. And we also might get stuck on this road. We're not off-roading, we're taking some of the little side tracks that cut through these big open areas, which I'm also now thinking is maybe not a good idea. Maybe they need a bit of time to dry out, and we'll have to try again this afternoon. Okay, can take the hood off now. Okay, so we're going to keep looking for some animals. Hopefully they'll be nearby. Tristan is still following around a hyena. I wonder where they're off to.
I wonder where they're off to as well, Tayla. And I'm sorry that you were being eaten alive by little midges. They can get quite crazy after a big rainstorm, so good luck with that, and just stay wrapped up, and I don't know, maybe you'll have to be like one of those Australians with either a hat with corks on it, or we'll have to get you like a beekeeping suit. I think actually a beekeeping suit would be the perfect idea for Tayla to do a game drive in, so it might be a bit uncomfortable, but it'll be funny nonetheless. Maybe Tayla's up for the challenge. I'll try and order one online and send it to Kenya as a gift to the presenters that side. But our hyenas are still moving slowly northwards. They're being very tolerant of me. If you think that I've followed them all the way from quarantine, there's a bit of a trotting every now and then, but I'm trying to keep my distance a little bit and just kind of roll behind them and hope that they're not going to worry too much about my presence. They seem to be okay with me, and so we're just ambling up the road and seeing where they go. Like I say, we never do this. We hardly ever are able to follow hyenas for long periods of time. Generally it's fleeting glimpses of them crossing the road or moving into thickets, and well, we're being treated this morning to these two just kind of walking side by side, and isn't it a cool experience to follow them for a change? You can see also how much faster they are than the cats. They definitely move a lot quicker than what the cats do. The cats tend to amble along, although last night the Birminghams and Nkuhumas were on some sort of mission to get somewhere. Apparently they ended up going towards Red Dam and then drinking there, so that's not a surprise given there was no real other water around. But from there apparently they started to settle. So these guys are completely different in that they're moving and moving and moving and moving. They're not really as slow as what the cats do. If you find with lions and leopards, it tends to be a little bit more slow, a little bit more relaxed. They kind of just roll themselves around, unless they're on the hunt and they're trying to kind of follow buffalo's scent, then you find them often moving quite fast. Sounds like a Cookie Franklin making a little bit of noise to my right hand side. Look, the hyenas have just stopped to sniff around as well. What have you smelt there, or spotted? It seems like it's spotted something. You see the way its head is bobbing? I'm sorry, Senzo, I'm sorry that you got the stump in the way, but look how it's spotting something and now moving off a little bit. I wonder what that is. What have you seen, hyena? It's definitely interested in something. Let's just go forward a bit here, Senzo. What is that it is watching? Odd. It looked like it saw something for sure and was a little bit kind of nervous of what it was seeing, and it was trying to sort of bob its head, and they often do that when they've seen something and they kind of look around. Maybe it was just trying to get a better view of something and realize, okay, it's nothing, and carried on. Sometimes they do that. You see it with monkeys as well. They'll kind of shift and move to try and just get an actual pinpoint on what they're watching. So maybe that's what they were doing, and there's actually not anything there. I don't see any sign of anything. It's just a few termite mounds that are around. But now we are cutting off into the bush. How far is the fire break? The fire break is right here, so I'm going to go around on the fire break and hopefully catch them on this pathway. Actually, there's a 2-track here that goes to the den, funnily enough. So let's see. This is, I think, an old den that was off Aubrey's, if I understand correctly. Now the rain is starting to get quite hard all of a sudden. Rain, you go away. You stop your nonsense. I don't want to hear anything from you or see anything from you, but there are some big drops starting to fall now, which is not ideal. We might need to put some rain covers on fairly shortly. But we'll try and follow these guys a little bit longer, kind of heading straight towards this rain, which is not what I wanted at all, but we're definitely going to get fairly wet fairly shortly. But this isn't this the old... I've never been to this den, so I'm not 100% sure. Sir Jake, you want to know if rain and mud makes it easier or harder to track? Sir Jake, depends. It's easier when the animals walk after the rain and you can see very clearly what's going on, because they make nice big sort of markings in the sand, but it also washes everything away, so it's a bit of both. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But is this the old den? Is this where the den site was? I'm not sure. I don't know if this is the den. I've never been to this side. Yes, here's another female hyena here. Is this... who have we got? Yes, it looks like Gwen. So Gwen and her cubs are here. The den site has moved. It's in a different place. So that was worth following these guys and coming this way. I just saw one little cub running into the den site, and that's definitely Gwen there. So she's moved her little one. So worth following these hyenas. They've taken us to a different den site and a different place. But honestly, Lou, I'm going to have to put rain covers on. So if you can bear with me, if we're going to stay live, then I'm going to have to put rain covers all over the place, because we're starting to get punished by rain a little bit now. You can see that rain in the distance there, and I just want to get all my equipment out of it so that we don't get wet cameras and things like that. So I do apologize if you hear a little bit of noise or if you see something coming this way. Now, Lou, I don't need to leave the den. If people can just bear with me in a little bit of noise, I can happily do rain covers without having to go anywhere. I'm not too fussed by it. But how cool is this? That we've got a den site right next to us, and then that we followed these guys in. Really cool. Here comes another hyena. So there looks like 3 of them. Hello. Thanks for bringing us here. Well done. You clever things. I love hyenas. This has been an awesome morning. I'm so glad I came this way and followed them and decided to keep up with them all the way, because otherwise, like I said, we would have had a situation where we wouldn't be able to know where Gwen's den was. I was wondering why every time we went that side there was no sign of the little ones, but this is the riddle has been answered. We found the den site here and the little ones ran inside. They will come out again eventually, I would imagine, and I'll try and reposition that we can see the little ones, but very cool to see nonetheless. Now it looks as though our rain is starting to ease off again, which is good news. So Senzo is just pointing out 1 or 2 things that are getting wet, and I'm just telling him that it's okay, because those are things that... Patty, you're asking if hyenas get fleas like dogs and cats. Ooh, Patty, most certainly. That's why they move dens, is because the den sites get riddled with fleas and parasites and all kinds of other things, and so they've got to move and got to go into other places in order to try and protect themselves and to keep water and to keep the cubs from being overrun by fleas. So yes, most definitely. Now I'm going to go forward a little bit. Gwen is a bit nervous. Maybe she's nervous because the males have arrived at the den, but there is a little cub. Hello, little one. Are you curious? What's going on? How cute is that? Hey, little one. You can see the others are departing the opposite way. They're starting to move off. So they've come and investigated. They've said hello, and now they're going. And there's the ears of the second one. So I know some of you were a bit nervous because we saw only one last time, but there's the ears of the second bunch, or second little one. So both of Gwen's are absolutely fine. She seems to be the only female in this area. I don't see any other females. So I think Intima is still at the one of Gallagher Shortcut, and then these ones now off Aubrey's Road. But awesome, isn't it? Look how cool those little ones are. Hello, guys. Are you a bit wet? Yes, been running through the grass and been playing. Little one, you asking how old the cubs are before they start to partake in the hunting with the clan? Well, it will depend. Sometimes you'll find they start a little bit earlier, around 8 months, but generally a year-old is what, in my experience, what they like to start doing. So as they get to about a year-old, they're starting to venture out with the pack, and they're actually starting to contribute to finding carcasses and calling the others in. They won't be able to compete with lions or even some of the bigger hyenas at that stage, but they still will able to produce at least a little bit of help, and they will be able to locate carcasses, and they'll be able to at least sort of try and help out and provide some sort of distribution of the clan and keep the clan's movements up to date and kind of move around and find food for them. So it's a clever system, and they, even when they're small, are at least starting to contribute in some way. Well done, Gwen. I like your new den. It's very pretty. It's the first time here at Aubrey's den site, and so I'm glad that we didn't go round to the fire break and follow the males that way, because we would have completely missed your den site. Look at the little ones, how curious they are. Are you wondering what we're all about? But you've seen us. Oops, there goes one over the top of Mom. Roshni is saying the little ones are starting to grow up and develop iconic spots. They are, aren't they? They're starting to get little spots forming. There's one that's slightly lighter than the other one, so the one closest to us is the darker of the two, and they are starting to get small little spots. Now, in terms of the sexes of these hyenas, I haven't spent enough time with them to know yet, but look, they are also getting a lot braver. Remember at the Gallagher shortcut den, they were a bit nervous of us, but look, they're starting to come out. They're coming to explore. Come say hello. Everybody wants to see you. Yes, there we go. How cute is this? You can't tell me a baby hyena is not cute, or a hyena cub is not cute. They are some of the cutest animals we have out here. They're like little teddy bears that come out, and they've got these big ears and this curious face and naughty kind of look about them. I really do have a lot of time for young hyenas, and I remember when guiding, it was something that I always tried to do, is to try and take guests to hyena dens, just to try and educate them and to try and get people to show them that hyenas are not these fierce, horrible animals that steal everybody's food and that they're disgusting. In no way are they like that. They are actually really sweet, cute animals, and the den site shows the softer side of them, and it's a great place to bring people to try and break this misconception that hyenas are horrible animals. It's a place where people can see that there is the softer side and that there is some cuteness in them. I know when they get older and when they look like Gwen, that they're probably not the prettiest of animals out here. There's some prettier adult animals for sure, but at the end of the day, at least, there we go. You see it's pasting. Look, do you see it? We were talking about pasting earlier, and this little one is already doing it. So that's how they paste, is to be able to do it. Now, it's got its genitals out, which will help us be able to try and see if we can sex it. It looks to me like two females, just from the genitals that I've seen of both of them, but I might be wrong. Very difficult at this stage. Now, you might be wondering why I would say genitals of a female that look like a male's genitals. Well, females have pseudopenises, so they do have it, but the way to check is that the female has a straight sort of pseudopenis, whereas the male will have a little sort of swollen tip to it, or a bulbous tip, and that's how you can sex them when they're young. It's very difficult though when they're running around like this, and especially the light has gotten all of a sudden has all but disappeared. It's gotten really dark, so tough to say, but maybe some of the others who maybe got some screenshots can confirm at least what the sexes are. But to me they look like two little females, is what I can see. I might be completely wrong, but it does look like it. Michael, you're asking if predators will ever scent mark over other predators' scent mark. Yes, I have seen it. I've seen hyenas, funnily enough, scent mark over the scat of lions and leopard. I've seen lions also scent mark over leopard scat as well. But, oh no, don't bite your own genitals. Naughty. Not that one, the other one. Although that one might be a little male now that I see it. But you can see sometimes it gets a bit interested in its own genitals, and, well, it becomes a chew toy at a young age, which is not ideal. No, leave it alone. It's not for chewing. The youth of today. So it does happen from time to time that the young ones will, that the predators will scent mark over each other's markings, but it's not that common. You don't see it all the time. There we go, running back to Mom. You're still not quite 100% sure about us. He came and kind of looked and then decided nope, and now it's climbing. Are you a mountaineering hyena? Yes, I want to get higher to watch all of you. It's now going up the mound further. So cute. Oh no, not you too now. You're learning bad habits from your sibling. Zeus, you're asking if hyenas will reuse a den that they once abandoned. Most certainly. This den was not active at all prior to our knowledge. Not active recently, should I say. It is one of the prominent dens that they've had over the years, and it's just the first time since I've been at Safari Live that this den has been active. But you saw as we were driving in, there was a prominent 2-track. There is a 2-track around this den, so these hyenas have been here and before, and Gwen has probably denned here before, and that's why she's come here and brought the little ones. The other den probably was getting a little bit on the flea-ridden side, and so she's brought them this side into a new den and is using it. But it is a den that she would have maybe used for her previous litters and her young ones, so it is very possible and very common for hyenas to reuse dens, especially if it's been a successful place that they've raised cubs. Then they use it very regularly to try and kind of well, they know that it's a safe place, and then they will use it again. So not surprising at all. They wait a little bit of time for the fleas to depart and for it to clean itself out a little bit, and then they'll come back and reuse it. Chuckleberry, you're asking if the little ones go back into the den when it starts raining. Well, Chuckleberry, I mean, it's not raining hard now. There's a few drops that are coming over, so it's at least moving off. But no, you can see they're quite wet, so their fur is quite matted, so they've been running around in the rain. As long as Mom's around, they don't actually mind the rain too much, unless it gets really cold and it starts to hammer down. If we start to get heavy drops raining down on us, and it's really very heavy, and then you'll find that they go into the den site and get out of it. But little light rain like we're having now, not at all. There's more fun. You know, kids love to play around in water, and so these guys are not in any way opposed to being out in a few drops of rain. In fact, this will be a new experience for them. They will never have experienced rain before. They won't know what it is, and it'll be curious. And you can see they've actually got quite a bit of energy this morning. They're bouncing around all over. Lots of little games are being played. Yes, hello. Now you can see it's sniffing us and wants to come and investigate. They're curious. They want to see who are we and why are we here. And the more we sit here, the more curious they're going to get, and the more they're going to start coming closer. Hello. You are very brave. Look how it's smelling. Now, this little thing is trying to work out, what is this big vehicle here? I don't recognize this, but Mom is not in any way reacting, so let me go check it out, and I'm not sure, back to Mom I go, just for reassurance. So that's how they do it, and then slowly but surely they build up the courage to come closer and closer and closer, and eventually they will be in a situation where they end up right next to the car, and they'll become a bit like in Tima, in that they'll sniff around and sniff the tires, and they'll sniff at the feet of at our feet on the Land Rover, and they won't really be too concerned about us. So it takes a bit of time and a bit of courage, but you can see it's already happening, that they're starting to get more and more curious about their environment. Very cool. Look at that now. King of the castle on Mom. So if the termite mound isn't good enough, we now walk around on Mom. And you can see Gwen is thinking, what are you doing? Why are you on top of me? But it's not just myself and Tayla out this morning. I believe Miss Patterson is out and is about bumbling in the Mara.
Good morning and welcome to the Mara National Reserve portion of your sunrise safari. My name is Jamie. This morning Manu is on camera with me, and you're catching us at the almost beginning of our 2-day adventure on this side of the river. We've got our... Where are our mattresses, Manu? Oh no. Oh no. Oh, this is a disaster. I was about to say, we got our mattresses, we got our food, our coffee, but we don't have our mattresses. We got our blankets. Oh, Manu, I'm sorry, I didn't even notice. I didn't realize they were out of the car. Oh dear, oh well. We're off for 2 days on an adventure to go and find some cheetah, hopefully catch up with the Gulashaka boys, the 3 young male lions, and all sorts of other things. We're going to go find the 5 musketeers, we're going to find Omani's daughters. I've got lots of plans for the next 2 days. So it took us a while to get here. Obviously, as most of you know, there was a somewhat torrential downpour last night, and that delayed our departure because it still hadn't stopped by 4 o'clock this morning when I got up. I was very unimpressed. We got the car out, started getting the covers off, and it started raining, so I put them all down again. But we've made it. Took us a while to get through the village. The road was a little bit muddy, a little bit slippery, and then we had a conversation at the gate about permits and so on. It's amazing. A freshly baked muffin puts everyone in a good mood, doesn't it, Manu? That it does. And so off we go into what feels like an entirely different world. I'm going to go off in search of, well, whatever it is that we can find. I hear that there's thrilling news on Djuma. Let's go back to Tristan and his newly discovered Hyena Den.
Well, it's very good news, and I'm super glad, like I say, that we followed the males. Who would have thought they would have led us towards the den? They've since moved off long way away. They're no longer close by, and it's just us and Gwen and her cubs. But I'm so glad that we've, like I say, followed and decided to keep up with them, because otherwise we wouldn't have known that this den site was active. And look how playful they're being this morning. This weather is contributing to a lot of games, I would imagine. There's lots of running around and bouncing and carrying on, and noses to the ground, sniffing. It's becoming far more mobile. Oh, sand all over the nose. Yeah, there we go. Back to Mom. Frank of Michigan, you're asking if these cubs have a higher rank, bless you, Senzo, than because of their mother. No, these cubs unfortunately are on the bottom of the bottom. Their mother is one of the lowest ranking females within this clan, and so the chances of them ever being high up is very slim. So they're unfortunately not in the high ranking members. We don't see, they definitely will not become any of the matriarchs or anything like that. So they unfortunately are going to have a tough time of it. Luckily, they're in a den on their own, so they're not anywhere near the higher ranking females where they'll get bullied. They're in their own den, and that means that at least they will have a fairly good life for the first year, and then from there it's going to be a tough time for them. They're not going to be seen in a good light by the rest of them. They'll just be basically the same as their mom, low ranking, and it's going to be a tough time as younger females. They can, I suppose, theoretically get up and become matriarchs at some point if they were to challenge, but I doubt it. Generally, the matriarchal females have good genetics. They generally get more of the food than the other babies or cubs, and so they normally grow up stronger, the offspring from the matriarchs, than what the offspring from the low-ranking females are. But I suppose in a situation like this where they're in their own den, maybe these two will be able to get big and strong, and if they are able to, and if there's maybe a growth in the clan and there's just too many of them to be able to feed themselves, then they split apart, and maybe they can then challenge to be the matriarchs of that particular clan. So it'll be interesting to see, but I don't think so. I think they're pretty much destined to be lower ranking females throughout their life. It's normally what their mother is what they end up being. Are you a little boy? I can't see nicely. It looks like it. Dan, you're asking if hyenas can move up the hierarchy by fighting their way up to higher ranking females in the clan. They suppose they could, but it's difficult. As soon as they're low ranking females, the higher ranking females will pretty much gang up on them. So you'll find 2 or 3 of the higher ranking females go after them, and so it's very difficult to fight their way. But it has happened. I have seen 1 or 2 videos of lower ranking individuals taking on higher ranking individuals and actually getting away with it and getting themselves into a higher ranking position, but very seldom. But that looks like a little boy by the looks of things. Now that we can see very clearly, it does look like a little boy. It looks like he's got a little scrotum, and he's got the sort of swollen end to his genitals, which is, so we've got one little male by the looks of things, and I don't know where the other one is at the moment. Its other one has disappeared. I think it's having a little suckling moment and just enjoying a bit of milk before going probably to bed in these overcast, rainy conditions. Oh, itchy ear. So you can see the fleas are probably already on them. We were talking about fleas earlier, but they won't be as bad here as they were in the other den. The cubs do chew tires all the time. Not just yet when they're this age. This is a little bit small now. They're still figuring us out. But once they reach sort of intima's age, where they're anywhere between 6 months and a year, they become a menace to our tires. They chew them all the time, and they'll chew the mud flaps, and they even chew bits of the car. So they become a bit of a menace, and we have to keep them from doing that. So you have to just kind of tap on the side of the car and stop them. And The reason they do it is just, you can imagine for them with these jaws, they get a rubber tire that gives a little bit, and it's the perfect thing to bite and to chew on, and get themselves at least sort of getting out of that teething phase and get a bit of practice to strengthen the jaw. So they like chewing on them. It's like a dog with a sort of rubber chew toy. It's the exact same thing. So these guys will come in and chew the tires very regularly. I remember the Elephant Plains clan was super naughty. They used to chew our cooler boxes and our hot boxes. Space Jockey, no, they do not have the strongest bite force of all of the animals in the park. The strongest bite force belongs to that of the Nile crocodile. So the crocodile has the strongest bite force, and then it is followed by these guys, and then hippos behind them. So that is the bite force between them. There was suggestion that hippos maybe have a stronger bite force than hyenas, but it's difficult. I've read lots of different articles about it, and it seems to swing both ways depending on who's writing it. But hyenas theoretically have the strongest of our predators by a long way, so their bite force is stronger than lions and leopard, wild dogs, cheetah, all of that. But in terms of all the animals, the crocodiles take the cake as the strongest. Now, interesting with the crocodiles is their bite force, because remember, bite force is measured on downward bite, and so they actually have the strongest jaws closing, but one of the weakest set of jaws opening. So they have no power in opening their jaws. All their muscles are designed to snap shut and to hold on to prey. So interesting that they don't actually have too much power opening. Hyenas are probably way more powerful in opening their jaw than they are than the crocodiles, but that doesn't really count. It's all about how hard it is when you crunch down, and the hyenas fall second to the crocodiles in this area. Poor Gwen, she's having a tough morning trying to rest. First the males, now the cubs all over and jumping on her and causing a bit of havoc. Very cool. Now, I have spoken to the other guys and told them that this den is active, and there are a number of guys that want to come in and have a look, so I think we're going to unfortunately have to leave now. We've had such an epic morning with them. It's been a great time, and they've certainly enthralled me. I hope they've endeared themselves to you guys as well. So I'm going to leave them where they are now and let some of the other guys get a chance to see them before they go in after a good feed. You can see it's grey, overcast weather, perfect bed weather, and well, a Monday morning, and who would like to be out and about on a grey Monday morning? So they're going to probably head into the den at some point soon. So I'd like to get the other guys in there and let them have a chance, and we'll carry on and try and see if we can find that lioness with those cubs. That's what our plan is going to be. But thank you very much, Gwen. You are an absolute champion, and great to see you. Yeah. The little ones are super cute. You can see they're still a bit nervous of the car when it starts, but otherwise they're okay. I'll have to also just let the guys know that I am leaving, so I'll radio them just now. I just want to get out of here. Very cool though. That was super worthwhile. I'm so happy about the fact that we followed them. It was very cool. Now, I believe that our herd of buffalo that we were following or trying to hope would come to Djuma has turned and crossed west right at the gate into the Manyeleti, which is not ideal. So they've gone into Manyeleti and unfortunately not down towards Djuma. But with this little bit of rain, maybe there's a bit of sprucing up of the grass, and that herd then starts to move down towards us. So we'll just see. I hope that they will come this way. Maybe they heard the lions roaring and decided, not going that way. We know what happens on Djuma. We know what happens in this area. The Nkuhuma Pride and the Birmingham males are not our friends, and decided to turn and go the other way, because their general direction was south last night, and they've now changed and gone back to the dam that they drank at, and then west into the Manyeleti from there. And some of you might be wondering why I'm saying west into the Manyeleti and not north. Well, right up against the gate, the Manyeleti boundary actually runs north-south, and then it cuts east-west. So if it goes in some parts of Buffelshoek, they will cross north into Manyeleti, but there are parts where they actually cross west into that area. Right, let me get hold of Rexon and tell him that I'm out. He can come this way. Rex. Yeah, I'm out of that den site. You're more than welcome to make your way. It's just the normal den site off Aubrey's. You'll find my tracks there. Alright, so there we go. That's that. Good morning. Senzo, was that nice? You happy? There we go. Senzo says that was very cool. So, very fortunate. And actually, it's amazing. We can see the den from... Oh, Senzo, the viewers are wondering about your socks. What have you got today? So Senzo's pointing to the sky and saying, do we see the weather? So, boring socks, boring weather. It's cold, it's overcast, so he's got the warm, fluffy socks on. We need to get you maybe some more warm, fluffy, bright socks to brighten up our days on overcast days like this. But Senzo's got his normal drab socks. Megan and Lou feel the same. That's bright, fuzzy socks for dreary days, Senzo, so you're gonna have to get on it. That's up to you to sort out. I'm going to just pretend like I know nothing, and we'll see. But let's see what socks you've got anyway. Come on, let's. The brown socks. Brown socks. We can show brown socks. Brown socks are okay. It's a drab day. No, not today. It's cold. Okay, we don't want to show any leg today. Can't have any legs showing on a cold day. Even I managed to put on long pants today, which is a miracle. So there's my long pants. I've got white socks on today with a little red heel, which you can't see at the moment. I'll try and pull them up. So my red heel is inside there. Oh no, come on red heel, show color. Oh no, I can't get to it, but there we go. So I've got my little white socks, which are not very bushy at all, but they were on top of the pile, so they were the ones that got put on. So Senzo, are you not going to show them? Are you going to leave me just to be the only one showing socks today? Ah, okay, I see how it is. It's fine. Senzo says he's too cold to even be showing any socks whatsoever. He's got to cover up as much as possible, which is okay, I suppose. I don't mind. I will just carry on and I'll show my socks, Senzo. I'll take the hit today, get the cold feet for today, and then tomorrow it's your turn to show socks. Okay, is that fair? There's a little golden-breasted bunting that's very close to the ground here. It's hopping about. No, don't fly away, golden-breasted bunting. Oh, my golden-breasted bunting flew away, and I really like golden-breasted buntings. They're beautiful birds, and it was close, so we would have been able to get a nice view of its bright. There it is. Well done, Senzo. Well found, but it's flown away a little bit. But aren't they beautiful with that sort of burnt orangey gold chest and the little white flanks and a brown back, and then that ever so fancy head that they've got with little white stripes all over it, white and black stripes. That makes them quite beautiful, and it's amazing from the back how well they camouflage. But then you see this little burst of yellow coloration going out and just pecking away at some of the seeds that are around, and they've had a lean time of it, and they'll be very happy with a bit of rain, because it means they're about to get a lot more in the way of food. Also, a lot more competition is coming their way, because there's going to be some other seed eaters in this area. Now, onward, I think, towards where we had that lioness with her. I'm going to check if there isn't a sign of her at that den, and while I do that, I think it's Tayla or Jamie, I'm not sure. One of the girls has got a jackal for all of you.
Look who we found! I'm fairly confident that this is the same jackal pair we saw yesterday morning, because we're not too far away, and they will move around here. So a pair of black-backed jackal. Now they look like they were playing with one another earlier, but oh, actually look what they're doing. Maybe they weren't playing. They keep sticking their noses into these large sort of tufts of grass, so perhaps there's little rodents hiding away. Whee! You're very excited, running right past the car. How great was that? Off it goes. We're waiting for the next one, though. I'm sure it's going to follow. It's hiding behind the golden grass. You can just see its head moving every now and then. Wasn't that fantastic? If any of you ever had any doubts in your mind and you thought the jackal were perhaps very placid, calm animals, well, even they can get a bit of a spring in their step, and I'm sure they're very excited after all the rains that we've had, because it's going to bring many creatures for them to feast on, from frogs, which they will also consume, to rats and mice, which there are plenty of. We see them every single night running around. Maybe the odd little hedgehog that would have come out. So I'm very excited to see what's happening. I can't even see the other one. Oh, the other one is right behind our car. That's fantastic. What do you think, Craig, if... Oh, no, we'll watch. This one's coming out now. The other jackal that just sprinted towards us is now standing behind the car. They're a very relaxed pair. I mean, we saw them yesterday. They weren't too perturbed by us parking right next to them and watching them enjoy the morning sun. This one, however, maybe not so sure just yet. Perhaps it will relax a little bit more. There we go, some great alliteration from Lara. A jaunty jackal, very nice. I'm all for alliteration. I love these creatures, and I really wish we could spend more time with them. I'm sad that that den site has moved. Let me try and reposition now. I'm going to go up a little bit further forward, Craig, and then we'll turn around and come back, just because I don't want to try and reverse into, I don't want to reverse into any animal. So we'll just do the scenic way, except this road is very narrow. So it may take a few attempts. Come on, up we go. Maybe we can do that. No, we can't. Oh, goodness, there's many things for me to injure myself in this car. Bolts. Well, we'll get there eventually, Craig. Like one of those really bad adverts, you know, when you have the learner drivers and they bump into one car trying to do a parallel park. That's how I feel right now. Bump into the next one. This will be a little bit better. Hello. So there's the frisky one. Going back across from where it has just come now, they're actually hanging around a group of Thompson's gazelle. The Thompson's gazelle have now spread out slightly. And I wouldn't be surprised if they're also looking for a young lamb, or young, what would you call a gazelle? Fawn? Maybe a fawn. I haven't actually got a clue what you would call the young of a gazelle. But anyway, a youngster. And they are known to take out young animals, even young impala. They'll take in the Sabi sand. And that's one of the reasons why they're such a big pest. Out here, they're fairly safe, though no one really worries about a jackal. But in areas where there are farming communities, it's completely different. Should I reposition once more, Craig? Here we can get a better view. I think the grass might shorten over here. Yeah, let's have a look. There we go. Yeah, they're very interested in something around here, so there must be some rodent urine that they're picking up on, or, you know, a scent from them that they're trailing after. Now, Paula, you're wondering how fast can a jackal run? That's actually something that the speed I've not come across before. Should we take a gamble at it? Maybe somebody can pop it in the interweb and have a search for us. I'm going to say that their top speed, so at a sprint, they're probably going to reach about 60 kilometers an hour, maybe less, 55, 60 k's an hour. I think they're fairly quick, fairly speedy creatures. However, they might not be able to keep it up for too long. It's actually unusual. I hardly ever see jackals walking. They normally only have two gaits, and that is a jog and a sprint. But up here they seem to be a lot more relaxed, and it's quite open, of course. But when I first started guiding, that's all that they would do. They would always run and trot, and it was always a joke when we were doing tracking assessments, is to try and figure out not only what the track was, which animal was responsible for it, but what sort of speed were they going at too. That made it quite easy for us. I wouldn't know what a walking jackal track actually looks like. But they're lovely creatures. So I'm trying to think, if they could just cruise, maybe they'd be running at, yeah, maybe 45 kilometers an hour as a constant sort of canter, if you will. But if any of you have managed to find the exact speed, like I said, I have never come across it in any of my mammals books. You can hashtag Safari Live and let us all know. It'll be interesting to figure that one out. But they're very, very busy creatures. Nose is always down on the ground. Maybe there's moles and things underneath the surface of the earth that they're picking up. Now, Caitlin, you're wondering how big is the territory of a jackal? It's not particularly large at all. I was actually reading about it the other day. And I want to double check in my book, but I think it's like 2 kilometers squared or something like that. But I remember reading about it. Let me just have a little look here. I should be able to find it. If not, it's not a problem. We can look it up and I can talk about it this afternoon. But it's fairly small. Yeah, I'm going to go with about 2 kilometers squared or so. Not particularly massive. Because I have seen the density of jackals around here is quite large. So I wouldn't imagine it to be massive. I'm sure there will be some points where territories overlap. You know, those will be high conflict zones. But other than that, I don't think it's very large. A lot of these animals, like warthogs as well, they don't have big territories, big home ranges. And now I can't even see them anymore. Disappeared in the long grass. Well, they're still there. I've got a glare on my screen, that's why I can't see it. Where is the sun that is there? We go, now I can see it. What are you doing? Eyeing out an impala. Impala haven't reacted just yet. Wow. My life in Africa, you said that a Google search came up with the answer of 79 kilometers an hour. That's very quick, actually. It wouldn't surprise me if they could get to that speed. That's very impressive. But again, I don't think they'd be able to keep it up for very long. Perhaps that was that speed was taken when a lion was chasing a jackal. That would make you run for your life and as quick as possible. Quite interesting what's going on here. They're moving around, heading towards the antelope, but the antelope don't seem to bother them too much. And there's obviously not any really little ones around, and they're not going to harass the adults too much, unless perhaps they were maybe injured, then definitely, but they're going to leave them alone. But we'll move on from these jackal. We're going to start checking the river crossings. Tristan has found a very cute and cuddly surprise.
I have, but I will give anyone a very big gold star if they can spot what we have spotted in that thicket that you see over there. If anyone has any ideas as to where our little surprise is, it is incredibly difficult to see it, but just over here is where you need to look, and you see there is just a light little colored line there that is very tough to see, but we will go in slowly and you will see what is revealed as we do. There wobbles around a little lion cub feeding off its mother. So we have got the Nkuhuma female and her cubs. How cool is this, guys? Look how wet they are. Ooh, fighting now over the teats for milk. So it looks like all three of them are there. I've seen little heads popping up, but you can see they're wet, they must be cold, and they must be hungry. They obviously haven't fed for a day. We saw that this female was at that pride the whole day yesterday, so they must be very hungry, and that's why they're tucking into some milk. And especially in this cold weather, can you imagine those little ones yesterday must have been shivering with cold, and they've now been able to get a good meal, and that's going to help warm them up, and they're going to feel a lot better about life. But look how spotty their little heads are still. Super cute. I can't believe we actually have even spotted these things. It was very difficult to see them, and it was just pure luck, really. I was about to actually step out to use the facilities, basically, and I was looked over to my left and just saw something that I wasn't quite sure of that looked a bit liony, and so then we used the camera to punch in and saw the little cubs there as well. But she's very well camouflaged. It was just sheer luck that we managed to see her. There's no other way to put it. How wonderful is this, though? Look how cute that is. So cute, and I'm glad that they're doing well and that they're surviving. Often when you get a drastic change in temperature, it can be very dangerous for young animals. So you'll get a situation where all of a sudden you get this cold and you get this wet, and these little ones really battle with that. They sometimes can succumb to those kind of things. So it's great to see that they're doing okay, and that they are feeding, and that they are healthy and happy, and that they seem to be fairly feisty and active. So there's definitely all three of them. Look at, oh, they are still little. Those paws are tiny. Hey, little guys. Dr. Rob, you say you're going to die of a cuteness overload. I know, they are incredibly cute, aren't they? They are the most cutest things that you could imagine. Oh, super sweet, and they look as though there's one or two of them have had enough to eat, and maybe they're going to move around. I think they're using... Oh, look at that little face. Hello, little one. What you doing? That's the little one, I think... No, that's not it. They've got lots of dirt on them, so I think they must be using this termite mound in front of me as the den site. There's a big termite mound here, and there's a little bit of dirt on their shoulders, so I think they're using the holes there. So you can see just here is where there is a hole in a termite mound, and there looks like a bit of disturbance coming down from that mound there. So I think she's putting them inside there and utilizing that to hide them. Particularly in this cold weather, a nice insulated mound is the best possible place for them. A little bit to your left, Senzo. Yeah, you can see them. Okay, cool. But you can see just how difficult it is to see them in that picture. They are very... Now, Andrew, you're wondering what pride this is? Well, this is the youngest female from the Nkuhuma pride that is got this cubs, and she's the only one in the Nkuhuma pride at the moment that's got small cubs. But it's her first litter, so it's amazing that she's doing well, and she's really considering how difficult it's been to find food and how difficult it has been for these individuals well, to find big food items. She's done so well to keep these little ones alive, considering it's her first litter. They're in areas where there's lots of other predators. Her instincts have been great, and she's probably very, very experienced from watching the other lionesses raising their cubs last year, and she's probably learned where there's good den sites, and that stood her in good stead to be able to help out and to be able to keep her little cubs alive. Now, from where we are, there's really no other way to get anywhere closer, and I think we've got at least a very good view from where we are, and so we're just going to spend our time here and hope that once they've fed, they're going to get a little bit playful and maybe start moving around a bit more. It's funny that we've had a situation where I've been here twice, and both times the little cubs have been a bit obscured, but rather that in a thicket and obscured than having no visual of them at all. I'm just listening to the updates on the Styx Pride as well. It sounds like they've gone into Torchwood from Chitwa, which is interesting. So I'm sure they finished their meal and have gone that way, which is also in a way good for us because a lot of the guys are going to rush down that way. This is only a one vehicle sighting. We can't have more than one vehicle here. They are of the age now where we can start checking the den like we did today, and we know that this lioness was coming here. The tracks were very evident that she was moving in this direction, so I was 99.9% sure that she was here, and that's why we moved here to come and check. And there we go. At least she's active, and we can spend time. You can see the cubs are in no way freaked out by a vehicle. She hasn't even lifted her head since I've been here. So it just goes to show that we can start spending a little bit of time with them. We'll just keep it a one vehicle sighting for now, get these little ones used to us, not attract too much attention to the area, and then from there we're going to try and sort of introduce a second vehicle when they get a little bit older. So when they get to about 4 or 5 months, we'll try and start putting a second one in, and then slowly but surely introduce them to a third later in life. But very cool to see. How fluffy are they? And they're still so spotty, and those ears are absolutely tiny. They are super cute. Now we're going to enjoy our little cubs feeding, but while we do that, let's go across to Tayla, who I think has got a tall giraffe.
We're at the beach. Hey Craig, sound of the ocean. It's really quite beautiful over here. So we're on the edge of the Mara River now, and you can see that the water is all turned up and a dirty brown color. We had a huge amount of rain. It was fantastic. So what Craig and I have decided to do is that we're probably going to just finish up now. We're going to be done for the show. We've managed to find ourselves a large tractor tire tube. We are going to fill it with air, and then we're going to jump on somewhere around here and go for a float. Hey Craig, living life on the edge. That'll give you an adrenaline rush. First up, you'll have to go past the pod of hippos after the rapids. I'm only teasing, we're not going to do that. That would not be a very smart thing to do. So try avoid things like that, but it would be lots of fun though. If there were no hippos and crocodiles that infested this water, I would definitely be game for something like that. So one thing I found particularly interesting, obviously a lot of the things that I've learned along the way in my guiding career so far, I've actually questioned since I've arrived in Kenya, because these animals are doing things that the books say that they didn't do, and things that I'd never seen them do before, and one of them is actually spending quite a bit of time in the rapids. Now you can pick up any single mammal's book that you can find, and they will all tell you that they do not like fast flowing water. They prefer sort of shallow, still water, obviously quite close where there is a plunge, so where there is a bit of a deep spot in case they need to get away. And that's great. It's the same thing in the Zambezi. You'll see them hanging around on the shallow banks, the sand banks, but there'll be a huge drop off. Those are actually the best fishing spots too. You wouldn't want to catch a hippo though, that wouldn't be too fun. And the other day I was sitting and I was watching on the river cams. I was having a look around and I found this one hippo was walking upstream through massive rapids, and he kept putting his head under the water. I assumed it was a young male, it was all on his own, and I just found it bizarre as to why he was doing that. I don't know if it's because he maybe it felt nice, you know, that water running over his back. Maybe it was the equivalent of getting a massage. I'm not sure, but I found that fascinating. And then here we have a pod of hippos in relatively deep water. You can see it doesn't look like they can actually stand at all. I mean, their nostrils are just sort of popping up and then they're going back under, and fairly close to the rapid water. Find that very, very fascinating. So it just goes to show these things that we say about animals, you know, things change all the time. Sorry, Alice, I missed that. I was talking too loudly over the sound of your voice. Please may I have that question again from Sir James? Oh, not even. Oh, Sir Jake, not even Sir James. Sir Jake, you're wondering if I surf. Was it my long golden blonde hair that made you think that, or the fact that I like to wear sunglasses all the time? No, just joking. I have never surfed in my life, ever. The closest I've come to surfing is jumping on a bodyboard, or boogie board, in the swimming pool. You know, and then I'd get in trouble for my dad because I'd splash all the water out the pool. That is the closest I've come. Petrified of sharks. So, I'd love to learn to surf, but maybe on one of those wave pools, you know, that you get in the shopping centres or the water parks and things like that, where I know I'm not going to get eaten. And I know it sounds ridiculous because I walk with elephants and lions and I don't worry about them. I think it's also just the fear of the unknown in the ocean, and I can't see what's around me. At least I can see around me when I'm walking in the bush. So no, Sir Jake, I don't surf. Maybe one day though. One day someone will teach me how to surf and I'll live to tell the tale. So that'll be exciting. I definitely won't go surfing in Cape Town though. That's okay. But it's lovely out here. It's actually really, really hot. We've already taken off one layer and I suspect the second layer is going to have to go now too. And it's so calm and peaceful by the river. It really isn't a breath of wind. It's lovely. Now, David from Napa, you're wondering if this river has a high and low tide. No, I don't think so, in the sense if you're talking about rivers that connect to the ocean, so tidal rivers. So in the Eastern Cape, I often talk about the Kruger River and the Bushman's River, and the Bushman's River is the second longest tidal river in southern Africa after the Orange River. So those have high and low tides, but out here, I don't think it's the case. I think the height of the water all depends on how much rain is had and how much rain is, you know, pouring down from the escarpment or and flowing into the tributaries. So I think that's all got a lot to do with it. But however, I can do some research about it, but I don't think that it is controlled by the ocean. But we'll keep checking the river and see what else we can find. Maybe there's some lions lying about. Let's go to Tristan, who's got lions, but they're really quite cute.
They are very cute, Tayla. I'm pretty sure you'll love to see these little ones, and by the time Tayla gets back, they should be moving around, hopefully quite close to the pride, or at least coming to a few carcasses, and I'm sure Tayla is going to look forward to coming and seeing the Nkuhuma pride females. I know she loves lions, and particularly the Nkuhuma pride, so I'm sure she's super excited to see them. I remember when we first got news of them, her and I went out to try and find where the den was, and we spent hours with the pride, and she was bouncing off the walls at the prospect of little Nkuhuma cubs. So I'm sure she's going to be happy to hear that they are healthy and well, but they've been quite feisty with one another. There's been a little bit of fighting and carrying on. I've moved slightly just so we can try get maybe a little bit of a clearer view, but as you can see, it didn't really work out as much as I wanted it to. It's difficult to get to where they are. I don't want to get any closer than what we are now. We're pretty much about, I would say, 15-20 meters away, so it's perfect distance, and the little ones are completely unperturbed by our presence. Even when I came in, I was just checking just to see how they would react, because I went over one stump and it didn't make too much of a noise, but it was just to see how they would react to that branch under the tire, and they didn't even flinch. They just carried on feeding. They looked at me maybe for 1 second and then carried on. So it really is quite cool to see that they have kind of already accepted vehicles, or so to speak, and because mom is chilled, well, then they're chilled, which is good news. But how cute are these little things? Look at the tiny paws. I was hoping when they reposition like that we'd hear some squeaking, and that's why I was keeping quiet, is just to see if we heard the little lion cub squeaks, because it's the best sound in the world when they make that noise. It really is super cute. But like I say, you can see all 3 heads were there at one point, which is good news. Oh, you guys are super cute. You're going to be very, very, very sweet in the next couple of weeks. We're going to get some amazing sightings. I can feel it already. The nice thing is that she's denning really in the heart of Djuma. We're right in the center. We're far north, I suppose, up against the Buffelshoek boundary, but we're in the center of the property. So even if she moves them, I would imagine it's going to be south and north of these areas, or along these drainage lines, exactly where the pride denned last year. And so we should have these little cubs at least for the next couple of weeks, which is fantastic news. And now that they're getting a little bit bigger and a little stronger and they're moving around, at least means that we are able to at least check for them a lot more. And you can see they're busy grooming mom's face. Oh, how cute is that? I know it's obscured, but it's still super cute. A little groom from the cubs. So Jake, you're asking if the rest of the pride would ever reject her cubs. No, they wouldn't. She will be very careful about introducing them. Obviously, we know that she has introduced them already, and the pride does know about them and has met them and has greeted them and the sub-adults. So none of them have rejected, but no, it doesn't really happen like that. You sometimes find, though, that females, when they have, especially in big prides, when they have their cubs, will often just break off and not go to that pride, because the little ones get a bit bullied by those older ones, and they get a little bit of kind of mistreated and roughly handled, and that means that it's a little bit tougher. But look at them grooming. It's incredible to think that that lioness, that's her eye that we're seeing there, and her nose. So those cubs are about the size of her head, and it's crazy to think that if they are females, they'll end up one day that size, or if they're males, even bigger. It's incredible to think how much they grow from these tiny little balls of fluff. Oh, and look at it grooming mom with a little tongue. It's so sweet. We're being spoilt with baby animals this morning. Philip, in terms of teats that lionesses have, they have 4, and in terms of average litters, it's actually, the average litter is 4 cubs. We very seldom will get 2. That's not really that common. It's more 4, and they will have 4 teats. I have seen litters of 7. 7 is the most lions I've seen, but I have heard of 8 before. But 7 is the most that I've seen in cubs, and it's very difficult then, because the cubs fight a lot over those teats, and the mom gets bothered quite often, and a lot of nutrients sucked from her. But generally the average is 4. Here in the Sabi sands over the last little bit, it seems like the average is probably, I would say, 3. Most of the females that I've seen give birth have had 3 cubs, so 3 seems to be quite common as well. But if you read books, most of the time it'll say average 4 cubs. I think it's time for sleep. Nice bit of milk, and now sleeping time. Oh, look at them cuddling up together. So Jake, difficult one. I think given the current climate, their first taste of meat will be probably, I would say, in about, they're so small still, so I'd say 6 weeks until they actually start eating again. And what that would be very difficult to say. I mean, might get, I think if it's anything, it's going to be a larger carcass. So normally it's something like a buffalo, where she can go, she can suckle them, bring them back to the carcass, and that's where they can get introduced to meat. Things like a wildebeest or a nyala or a kudu or even something like an impala generally gets eaten so fast by this pride because of how many mouths there are. Remember, it's 5 females and 6 sub-adults, plus generally a Birmingham male is somewhere in that vicinity, and it means they have to have really big carcasses for her to go away and get back to the cubs and take them back and still have some meat. So I think a buffalo carcass will be the first one, and hopefully that will be in about, I would say, about 6 weeks until we see them at a carcass. They're still a little bit young for that. But look at that face. Is that not the cutest thing? Look at the little nose and mouth and tiny spotty head. So you can see lion cubs are actually spotty when they're born, and that's just to help with camouflage and to be able to blend in a little bit. But how beautiful is that? It's a pity all the vegetation is there, but that's okay. And still, to see one of them is super special. And look at how it's falling asleep as well. That head is getting heavy. Shame, little one. Are you tired? Oh, there we go. I'm going to fall asleep right here. Full belly, tired eyes, and so it's about to sleep. Now, I'm not the only one that's having a baby predator bonanza. It seems Jamie has joined in too.
Well, Tristan, I see your little Nkuhuma cubs. I think they were Nkuhuma cubs. And whilst I cannot raise you, I can match you in the sense that we've just come across a massive pride of lions with two minuscule little cubs keeping up with Mum. Look at her little legs working furiously. Mum's just patiently striding along. She's got a belly that is probably weighing her down just a little bit. But look at them. Wait, Mum. Little legs must be getting so tired trotting across the plains. Watched closely by the wildebeest. Mum's not interested in wildebeest now, though. She's going to go and put these little cubs to bed for the day. She obviously belongs to a massive pride. I don't know which particular pride it is. I suspect it's the Ridge Pride, given where we are. We are right on the top of Rhino Ridge. It's also known as the Topi Plains Pride, I think, is one of the other names that they're known by. They've got a few different names, but I think it's them. I'm not 100% sure. And just behind me, unfortunately in a no-signal area, are Blackie and Lipstick. Alright, the 4-kilometer boys. The two big male lions. Let's catch up with them quickly. Michael, you say cuteness overload this morning. I agree completely. We've been very fortunate already, and it's still so early in the morning. Let me get ahead so that we don't make her feel nervous. I don't think she's going to feel nervous though. There's a big hole. Let's not drive into the hole. Let's pop ourselves. Which way is she going to walk? She's going to walk in front of this car. Here we go. And now we sit and we wait patiently. And we let the two little bundles of joy come to us. It's another lioness. Is it a lioness off to the left? She looks monstrous, my goodness. These lionesses are huge. Here she comes, also with a full belly. We must have, Manu, how many lions do you think there were that we went past? Oh, here come the cubs. 7. I think there might even have been more than that. I saw some sub-adult cubs playing around. So it's a big pride, plus these 4. Looking at around about 11 or so lions, probably more. Unfortunately, we don't have signal just past this ridge that we're on. Oh, look at you go. Welcome to the Masai Mara, little ones. You've been born at a very good time. I hope you're getting some amazing screenshots, because this is just... Oh, calling. Ow! Ow! She's massive. She's actually going to walk right behind us. Here you go, Mum. Look at your little precious bundles. Better go and find somewhere safe for them tonight. Or today. Oh, this is so precious. My goodness. Manu, when she comes past, just nice and slow movements, especially because these cubs are so tiny. Hey, Mum. Hi, Mum. It's okay, Mum. Oh, she's covered in flies. Oh, little lion cub just looked straight up at me. Unfortunately, too close to us for Manu to be able to show you. Sneaking round the back as the other lioness makes her way towards us. Beautiful. me reposition now while the other lioness is far enough away. That was very cool. Unfortunately, they basically grazed up against the car, so our camera wouldn't quite reach them, but there we go. I'm just going to give her some space. Obviously, there are other vehicles in the sighting, as you can see, everybody keeping a respectful distance, letting her choose the path that she goes along. Now, if I were to guess, I would say she's aiming for this ridge that's up ahead of her. Oh, run, little one, run! Yes, one day you're going to be a fierce hunter, but not just yet. I think she's aiming for the bushes on the top of that ridge. These cubs, this must be one of their first excursions, if I were to guess. I would put them at around about 6 weeks old, maybe 7 or 8 weeks old, but I'm thinking maybe around 6. They really are tiny fluff balls. And you can see by their unsteady legs just how young they really are. Gambling ahead.